that's something that I feel very, very proud about, and so I put up with some of the stuff that hurts me, because I really believe we're doing something for the good of the folks. So, John, I'm sorry you feel that way, I feel that way too. It's very frustrating, I know that what's in your heart. John and I, for people who don't know, John and I talked about this, I don't know how many times over the last several days. And I know where you are. And I'm sorry that this kind of stuff happens. And it really is sad when somebody doesn't appreciate the stuff that people like you do. And I just want you to know I appreciate the efforts of you and Nate.
Well, let me tell you, my 12-year-old son was sitting in the audience for his civics class when he's supposed to be seeing what representative government is about. When he tells kids today, when they're all talking about is Halloween going to be canceled or what, and he says, well, the Board of Commissioners are going to discuss it tonight. And the kid said, well, what is a commissioner? And he understands the level of government that serves the community the most. Yet, so he comes here for a civics lesson and heard the biggest false accusations of his father, when his father tells him, you can't complain about things if you don't get your hands dirty and get involved and try to fix them. And here's his father, who was on the phone all weekend with many of you,
Amen.
doing tons of legal research at night, dealing with attorneys, dealing with the solicitor. He's not that. On this issue, and explaining to him why we couldn't go play tennis on Saturday because I had to deal with this issue. And then for him to sit there and listen to his father be told, you're a bigot, and unless you sign a form, you're a bigot, and you're associated, and you're a bigot, and we know one of the people up there, but there's probably 2 or 3 more of you. And this is why people don't serve. This is exactly why people don't serve. And do I put more in than I should be? Well, obviously, because I put my heart and soul into it, trying to do the right thing. In 5 days, I turned around a legal document. There's your attorney. I might have gone and gotten some legal studies, but he can tell you, you don't turn things around that will in 5 days.
Amen.
And we did it. And then to be told that's not enough, you should have done what Camp Hill did, and blah, blah. What the heck? You gotta crawl before you walk. We made a very clear statement tonight, the direction we're headed. And that's not good enough because I'm not signing a statement. I don't even have a statement to sign. What do you want me to sign? But don't profile me. And I'm serious. I was profiled. You were all profiled. We're sitting up here, and the people in the audience accused us of exactly what they, so for the record, when people say I don't know what it feels like to be profiled, I was just profiled, and it doesn't feel good. And I've been profiled for my religion too, and I just don't need this. And now I have to go home and explain to a 12-year-old that his dad's not a bigot, not a racist, and not a homophobe, and I guess tomorrow morning we'll have the discussion when he says, why don't you come to all my games, and why aren't you here? Why weren't you here tonight for dinner? And why weren't you here last Wednesday night? And that's how they treat you. So I'm done. I'm going home.
Before you leave, can I say thank you for all your hard
And
work?
I sincerely ask the video crew not to turn this into a political event, because I was speaking from the heart. And yep, it's easy political capital when people show emotion, but for the record, I'm not a bigot, I'm not a racist, and I put a lot of time into that resolution.
I thank you for that resolution, and I just asked to make it a more permanent thing in our ordinances. And if we look inside, I look through the ordinances, we have no type of non-discrimination ordinance whatsoever. That includes nothing. So it wasn't an attack, and if, you know, on Mr. Gaspich at all, it was just to further the step along.
Excuse me, but you know, there's four of us up here, and we all agreed to the resolution. And you might not feel that you're, when you say for Mr. Gaspich, but there's Mr. Fetro, Mr. Silcox, and Mr. Thomas, who also participated in the discussion. I had an email from a lady after that meeting who said that she didn't think we took enough public action, so therefore we're bad. That's basically what she said. I sent a note back to her that said that I'm not a racist, I'm not a bigot. It's not in my heart that I have love in my heart for all of my fellow man. She sent a note back to me, said that's not enough. Now I'm sorry, but he got that too. And that, if he's upset about that, so am I. And so are the other commissioners here.
Last week, they went around and they asked everybody to condemn those limericks, and you were all silent. And that's what's on.
I believe the
That is
cameras-
not correct.
I believe everybody saw our statements last week.
Last week you said you said you don't believe in racism, but you did not condemn the limericks.
I did not condone, I certainly did speak, and I said I do not condone what Commissioner Beanstock said, and it would be up to him to defend those remarks, or those limericks, and that last week's meeting was a working meeting, a workshop,
Yes.
and a listening for us, because it was not an action meeting. Tonight is an action meeting, and so
And we acted.
we took action tonight.
Okay, well,
And that's what I said. John, Commissioner Gaspich spoke, and he did not condone those remarks, or those limericks. Commissioner Thomas spoke, and Commissioner Fetro spoke. And I believe numerous people had cameras and phones and many items to record.
Yes, you're correct. Okay, you're correct. But we had to press you because initially you were silent.
Again,
Okay.
it was a workshop
Okay, but
and it was a listening for me in terms of listening. And this is an action meeting. So we listened, and we took action.
okay. But the reason why I just said Mr. Gaspich is because he singled out, because I brought up, he made the comment that, you know, we're not good enough what Camp Hill has. But when you introduced this resolution tonight, okay, I don't think there's anything wrong for us to want to take it one step further and make it an ordinance, when we have nothing like that in our code of, you know, township code of ordinances at all. So I think there's nothing wrong to make sure that everybody is protected in Hampton Township.
And I don't think that's what necessarily set off Commissioner Gaspich. I think, and you heard our discussion on the,
There was no problem.
on your request,
Kathleen,
staff is gonna be looking into it.
Yeah, I mean, I was very happy about that, and I think that when it comes to votes speak louder than words. You know, it's your votes that make a difference. So and that's where people actually are judging.
Kathleen, I don't think anybody had a problem with anything you suggested, either tonight or the other night. If you recollect, I supported your general concepts about everything you brought before us. Nobody was arguing with you. I think what he was upset about was not you, and not Jamalco, and not Maurice. I don't think everybody got up there and I think expressed their appreciation for the board taking the action that the board took, except for one person. And that one person really, you don't want to say somebody's out of, I won't say anything. That one person did not get a good reception from the board or the audience, because I think she was attacking all of us. And it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair, Kathleen. And what you said was fair, what Marie said was fair. I didn't have any problem with it. We all thanked everybody for coming in. There was plenty of thanks to go around for the action that John and Nate and Ken and I took, and that was appreciated. But, you know, I think the one thing that hurt him a lot was when that other person came up and started to accuse us and say, you have to sign some kind of an ethics statement, and, you know, he said, what in
Well,
the
I
world is
think,
going on
I
here?
did ask last week, if as commissioners, you know, when you take your oath of office,
We take an oath of office.
and, you know, have a certain behavior and decorum.
We
And
do.
and, you know, there's a financial ethics statement
There is.
Right.
that is required, but we don't have a moral code of ethics that's required.
Well, there isn't in Pennsylvania,
But
as far
then,
as I know.
the solicitor explained that to us.
There are laws and there are rules and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But I think that the impression that one person gave to the board was more of an accusatory thing. And it was, I mean, really, this is a township commissioner's race. This is what you're doing. You're running for township commissioner in Hampton Township. And some of the stuff that's been going on is just, it's very, very, very frustrating, I have to say. But nothing, seriously, you're not.
But the thing is, Mr. Thomas,
involved.
you can't say it's just a township because it's our community, it's our lives,
But
and
it's
it's where we're
not,
touched.
but it's
Like
not
Mr.
President of the United
Stokoe
States or.
mentioned, he likes the idea of a lazy river thing or something like that. But he never was for dog parks until he got a dog. So we don't just represent our ideas and our views, we represent the 30,000 people that have different views and people who voted for us and who don't. So we have to think what's best for the whole community.
You're right, and I have to say that different commissioners over the years have had different attitudes about all of those things, including dog parks. My goodness gracious, we've had people who say, no dog parks anywhere, blah, blah, and we've had other people like myself, frankly, who say, no, why not a dog park? So, but those are arguments that you can have back and forth on a friendly basis. We're not talking about that. I think we all know what we're talking about. But I don't want to, we have other things to do, and God bless you. I'm glad that you came. I'm glad that you said what you said. I just wish that there was one less person that created the problem that forced John to throw in the towel for the night. I hope only for the, I mean that sincerely, because, I don't want to go any further than that. I respect what John does. He contributes a tremendous amount to the Board of Commissioners. We've saved a tremendous amount of money. He is a numbers man, and he comes into the board with ideas and things that he can do that probably not too many people who live in Hampton Township can provide to the board. And so it's a very valuable source, and I hate to see him wounded, and that's where I'm at.
Commissioners, just briefly, on behalf of staff, I want to make a statement that we strive day in and day out to provide the best possible services to all of the residents.
Amen.
There's no question in my mind that each and every one of the staff do that, from the police department to the volunteer firefighters to the public works department, the recreation department, and all of the other staff members involved in the day-to-day operations of this municipality.
And-
I'm committed to that.
And also enforcement of the ordinances.
And toward that end, I mean, there has been no accusations of wrongdoing by any of those entities under our staff or parks.
Never have been.
And that's the actions, again, as we've been talking about, certainly speak.
And
more than-
our zoning laws are in compliance with all of the requirements that you need to. People are talking about, well, there's poor people in Hampton Township. That's because we zone specifically to have people of all economic classes living in our township, from the very poor to the very wealthy and everybody in between. We do that through zoning. So people say, well, why do we have zoning for high density? Well, because we're required to do it, and so we do it to provide housing for people of more moderate income, because that's what, wait, we can get a whole.
Ms.
but
Frank's
anyway,
been waiting for.
I know,
time.
please.
I just want to say, again, thank you very much. You are all elected officials. We picked you. You did not pick each other. We voted for you, and if I could defer to the recording secretary, I believe that that woman that spoke said she's from Lower Allen and she works here.
Yes.
She is not a resident.
No, she is.
She had no vote, she still has no vote, and
And she doesn't know us.
exactly.
She said, I don't know you.
Exactly.
But then why would she, okay,
We all do the voting.
God bless
We
you.
appreciate what you have been doing, and that was the fastest law ever enacted, probably.
It wasn't a law, it's just a resolution.
It's an ordinance.
No, it's not an
It's
ordinance.
enough.
Is it an ordinance?
It's a
Okay,
resolution.
let's move on now. We have Director of
It's not a
Public
law.
Works.
If
We
we do
have
an
some
ordinance,
things to
then
get
it would
done.
be a law.
The hours
Okay.
getting
A
late.
resolution is
I will check, I will see
Okay, let's
in the
get,
meeting notes where it is.
thank you very much. Let's get through this. We have a couple pages of things to finish.
So, in the interest of maybe speeding things up a little bit, I'd ask for, if the board be agreeable to approve items A through D, which are purchases that are budgeted for.
Pay for what?
A through D is Denver.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve A through D that's on the agenda. Any questions on those motions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Have a brief discussion relative to the borough of Shippensburg has a used 2006 Elgin sweeper that myself and your fleet superintendent inspected. It's in extremely good shape. Just by way of example, a sweeper typically new would cost between $270,000 and $300,000. I'd like to have authorization to negotiate up to $50,000 for this used sweeper, which again was inspected thoroughly by your fleet superintendent, and he gave her an A+ rating,
What year is it?
2006.
So moved up, again, up to,
50,000.
provide, the staff with, negotiations up to, $50,000.
Moved and seconded. How, on the question, now, how many sweepers do we have in
We
service?
currently have one sweeper,
Okay, that's all I have
and quite honestly, that would probably be sufficient, except for we have the MS4 permit.
I know.
If you recall, street sweeping is.
to say. MS4 is the stormwater business that we have to take care of, and the sweepers, so that anybody, if anybody wants to know, the sweepers are participating in meeting the federal and state requirements to reduce nitrogen. So that's about, anything else on the question? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Keep going.
And then items F through G again are purchases, I apologize. I'd ask for approval of purchase of a grinder for pump station 4, cost on C $20,079.56.
So moved.
Questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And as Gary and the Veterans Committee was here, the Veterans Memorial will be completed hopefully within the next couple of weeks. That being said, I'd ask for authorization to pay for the recent construction as noted on the agenda, subject to reimbursement from the veterans.
Gladly make that motion.
Any questions on that motion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Ask for approval of a water extension from Pennsylvania American, 125 feet on Terrace Road.
So moved.
Questions?
The water company will be required to resurface the roadway.
I don't know that we're in that position, 25 feet, and we're outside the 3-year window that we identified there, so.
So this isn't the newly paved portion of Terrace.
Yes, sir. I'll reconfirm.
You know when the project's scheduled to be let?
I do not. They've recently submitted a street cut permit, because it's a utility extension, it's required before approved.
Right.
So I
Let's at least make the ask.
will be.
All right, thank you. The commission will approve.
That's contained in my motion.
Okay, is there a second? Moved and seconded to approve it, subject to an ask. Is there anything else on the question? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Ask for approval of the final pay estimate in the amount of $84,751.80 for Penn Supply and change order number 1, reducing the contract total value by $1,394,540.
So moved.
Questions on the motion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Ask for approval of pay estimate number 1 for the 2019 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project, amount of $133.
Questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
And approval of estimate number 1 to National Water.
Questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
The rest of my reports in the packet, just would like to say that the street sweeping, leaf collection is ongoing at this point. We're pretty much going to be in full swing here soon, and that will go on until probably the first Friday of December thereabouts.
Thank you very much.
Scheduled, weather permitting.
Wet weather, please.
Any questions for on his report? Seeing none, Township Manager.
Commissioners, if you don't mind, with your blessing, I'll move to item O, which is consider a request from the Hampton Aquatic Club for use of the Hampton Pool in 2020. I know a representative from the Hampton Aquatic Club is here. I don't know if you wish to address the board. In your meeting packet, in the appropriate location, is a memo that has been prepared by staff speaking to the requests for the 2020 swim season that the Hampton Aquatic Club has before you this evening.
Hi, I'm Janet Butterfield. I'm the president of Hampton Aquatic Club and also a Hampton Township resident at 2225 Dewey. We are requesting one Saturday home meet in July, one Sunday meet at the end of June, and then we're also requesting a second year of hosting the All-Star Meet with the cooperation with Mechanicsburg and Camp Hill like we did last year, and we would provide the income that we did last year, or in 2019.
My recollection from last year, which my memory often fails me, so forgive me, was that the request for the All-Star Meet was a result of maintenance work being performed at the Cumberland Valley School District pool.
That was for last year.
Right.
But the league enjoyed having the meet outside, and we were given rave reviews from the other 23 teams that came in, and they wanted to see if we could do it again.
So, just for the benefit of the commissioners though, you would be able to request the use of the Cumberland Valley School District pool, or someone would be for this year if that were to be the case, correct?
At this time, could be, yes,
Okay.
but Cumberland Valley could come to us in April, May and say, we're putting pool maintenance
I
again.
understand. I'm just having a discussion because the commissioners are just now digesting
Okay.
your request and staff's memo. Generally speaking, historically, and I know you've been with the Aquatic Club for a while, so thank you for your volunteerism to help in the community. A host facility hasn't held that meet back to back. And that's what I'm just trying to provide information to the commissioners.
We've held it at Cumberland Valley back to back.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, we did that
Of course, they don't sell memberships or provide daily admission to the community that I'm aware of. I'm not being argumentative, I'm just trying to convey information. So,
yeah.
the main thing is the commissioners need to wrestle with, are they going to consider your approval, and again, have the pool closed until 3 p.m. to the public in 2020, or could you consider an alternate date? And I'll leave it at that.
The alternate date is not available. An alternate location would be, but not the date, because the Saturday is our divisional championships, and that's ran across the league. Sunday is the All-Star, and then the following Saturday is the East Shore versus West Shore All-Star meet. We call it Big Caps, but it's the same thing.
Was there any feedback from our,
At this point, I'll ask Dave to see if he has any information from discussions with his staff.
feedback last year with the use of the alternate sites?
We did receive some feedback that members were frustrated that the pool wasn't available, but many members also expressed appreciation that they were able to go to Mechanicsburg.
And my recollection is the event date this year, unlike right now when it's pouring cats and dogs, was a nice hot summer day.
It was the first time we've ever had 100-degree weather at that time period.
Right.
Forever. I received, I believe, over 100 people went to Mechanicsburg and utilized that memorandum.
Okay,
Yeah, that is.
okay. And Camp Hill wasn't agreeable last year because of the fact that they had some other event going
They had
on.
the Little League baseball at their facility,
I see.
and they said
That's
they would
right.
be in agreement this
That's
year.
right, that's right. Commissioners, I'll defer to you if you have any other follow-up